Close your eyes for a moment and imagine a land of misty hills, lush valleys, and a culture so ancient that its dances, rituals, and royal chronicles trace back for thousands of years. This is Manipur, a kingdom, a culture, and a people with a story of pride and resilience. In 1947, as the rest of India celebrated independence from British rule, Manipur stood at a crossroads of history. Still a princely state, ruled by Maharaja Bodhachandra Singh, the land faced choices that would shape its destiny forever. Today, we journey back to that moment in time, to understand not just politics and treaties, but also the people, the king, and the spirit of Manipur in 1947. To truly understand Manipur's position in 1947, we must first step back. For centuries, Manipur was an independent kingdom with its own kings, culture, and military traditions. The Meitei kings ruled from Kangla, the sacred heart of Imphal, while the hills were home to diverse tribes with their own rich traditions. British influence arrived in the 19th century, especially after the Anglo-Manipur War of 1891. Though Manipur was never fully annexed into British India like other provinces, the British established control, keeping the Maharaja as a nominal ruler under the watchful eye of colonial officers. By the 1940s, Manipur was still a princely state, its king recognized by the British Crown, its administration guided by colonial advisors, but its people deeply proud of their identity. In 1941, Bodhachandra Singh ascended the throne. He was young, thoughtful, and aware that he had inherited a kingdom in transition. Educated and well-traveled, the Maharaja balanced two worlds, tradition and modernity. He was deeply rooted in Manipuri customs and rituals, yet he also understood the winds of change blowing across India. By the mid-1940s, he witnessed the growing call for Indian independence, the retreat of the British, and the rising voices of Manipuri leaders demanding reforms and democracy. Bodhachandra Singh's reign would be brief in years, but historic in consequences. He would be the last king of Manipur to rule as a sovereign monarch. On the 15th of August, 1947, India awoke to freedom. But what did independence mean for Manipur? Unlike provinces directly under the British Raj, princely states like Manipur had to decide their future. Would they join India? Would they merge with Pakistan? Or could they remain independent? The Maharaja of Manipur, Bodhachandra Singh, initially signed the Instrument of Accession in August 1947. This meant Manipur agreed to join the Indian Union on matters of defense, foreign affairs, and communications, but kept internal autonomy. In simple words, Manipur was still its own kingdom in 1947. The Maharaja remained the ruler. The people had their own assembly, and the land still carried the dignity of sovereignty. What makes Manipur's 1947 story unique is that it wasn't just about kings and treaties, it was also about the people. In 1947, Manipur drafted its own constitution, and by 1948, elections were held for a 53-member Manipur State Legislative Assembly. This was one of the earliest democratic experiments in South Asia. Imagine that. While much of the world was still recovering from World War II, the small kingdom of Manipur had already begun practicing democracy. Villagers, teachers, farmers, and community leaders suddenly found themselves part of shaping a political future. For many Manipurists, this was not just politics, it was hope. A belief that their voices mattered in deciding the destiny of their ancient land. But independence also brought challenges. Manipur was small in size compared to giant neighbors like India and Burma. Its economy was fragile, still recovering from the devastation of World War II, when Japanese and Allied forces had turned its hills into battlefields. The Maharaja faced pressures from political groups within Manipur, from leaders in India, and from the shifting dynamics of the post-colonial world. For Bodhachandra Singh, it was a delicate balance, protecting Manipur's sovereignty, addressing the people's democratic aspirations, and managing relations with the newly independent government of India. Every independence story is filled with both hope and uncertainty. In 1947, Manipur stood proud as a princely state, with its king, its assembly, and its identity intact. But the winds of change were too strong to resist. Within just a few years, Manipur would no longer be a kingdom. Maharaja Bodhachandra Singh, once a sovereign monarch, would sign agreements that merged Manipur fully into India by 1949. The independent democratic experiment would be short-lived. But in 1947 itself, those brief, shining months, Manipur stood as a proud state, charting its own path, hopeful for a democratic future, and deeply conscious of its ancient roots. So, when we think of 1947, we remember not just the independence of India, but also the unique journey of Manipur, a kingdom with centuries of history, a king who carried the burden of choices, a people who embraced democracy before many others. Maharaja Bodhachandra Singh's story reminds us that independence is not a single moment. It is a journey. For Manipur, that journey was filled with pride, challenges, and an enduring spirit of resilience. And today, as Manipuri dances, festivals, and traditions continue to inspire the world, the story of 1947 remains alive, not just in history books, but in the hearts of the people of Manipur.